right, Julio, how we doing today?
Pretty good, Zach. How are you?
I'm good. Let's get this thing started by kind of doing a little background about yourself as a therapist and your company.
Right. So I've been a physical therapist almost 18 years now. I started off in various clinical settings, inpatient, hospital, skilled nursing, outpatient, and settled pretty much in skilled nursing for the first year and a half, and then dabbed a little bit in home health. And after doing that on the side for extra income, I thought, man, this is really, really good money and, flexible and just everything positive about it. So I shortly after, 6 months later, I started got a job full time in home health. So I've been doing home health now for about 16 years.
Yeah, that's so awesome because so many people think the program's only for people who are like trying to get into home health. And we have a lot of people that join that have home health experience like yourself. So that's super cool. And then I know you recently started your own company as well. Give us kind of a background on that.
Yeah, so doing home health for the past 16 years, I've grown professionally, experienced and all that in home health, and it's been great. I've loved home health, the people you get to know. But on the financial side, I have a family, and the only way I've ever received a raise has been switching companies. So this one offers me a little more, go over to them. So I was changing jobs every 2 to 4 years, and how I was getting my raises. But now living in Naples, it's living here is a little more expensive. So thinking about, I'm in my mid 40s. I'm making a comfortable living, but I'm not prepared for retirement someday. I'm thinking, what do I have for the future that's going to sustain me, maybe pass on to my children and things like that. And the way I was working now is I just felt it wasn't good enough. I have a retirement fund, mutual fund that's been going on the side, but that's not gonna, allow me to have a comfortable retirement. So I thought I need to own a business. I need to do something for myself. So I went the route of mobile Medicare B. I thought that's a good way to be independent. Yeah, I have a friend who started a company in Naples, ended up selling as he moved out of state. And so he kind of guided me through the process. And, I did it slowly. I started in January, opened up the LLC, applied for Medicare B. I was kind of dragging my feet, not really sure about, you know, I guess I'm just getting it done. So kind of drag my feet. And then I started doing this. I decided, okay, I'm ready. I've got a good situation going, a good place for me to start seeing patients Medicare B. So I started this in September. I quit my job as a home health full-time employee that I've been doing for almost 16 years. And but just as a cushion, as a little plan B in case the Medicare B is slow to start or it doesn't work out altogether, I thought, well, let me hang on to the home health. And my company was pretty gracious to allow me to continue working for them PRN. But I also thought, I was watching stuff online about being, self-employed, and I came across accounts such as yours about, talking about contracting and all. And I thought, why don't I contract, and so I did that. I said, well, let me be PRN, but I want to be 1099 since I'm already 1099 with the Medicare B. Let me continue to be that way with contracting, and they accepted. And soon realized I thought I'm getting a lot of business to this home health, and the reimbursement is pretty much equal to Med B. And I think the biggest thing that made me nervous about Med B is that now for the first time, not only am I a business owner and have to, provide patients for myself, but that part, the gathering referrals. Now I've got to find a caseload. Who's going to give me patients as a self-employed Med B? And that, aside from owning my own business, was a little, I guess scary or just, something but I was ready to face it. But with the home health, I thought, well, shoot, I've always loved about this home health. We have a marketer. The home health agency has a marketer that brings the referrals. All I have to do is accept them or deny them.
Hmm.
So it seemed like an easier route, and it paid just as much. And then I came across I joined your Instagram account along with other ones because there were other people that were about, cash pay patients, Medicare B patients, and yours about home health contracting. And I thought, okay, well, because I'm seeing as home health contracting as an easier way to not just grow myself, but grow and having employees someday and expanding with contracting. Then I saw your videos and I thought, this is a real thing. I mean, people are doing this. And, no one had told me that you could do this. And I didn't realize that home health staffing was a thing. So I reached out to you and you said, let's talk. And I thought, yeah, well, I liked the idea, but had the Medicare B going, and I'm thinking to myself, I gotta grow this. But a month later, I reached out to you again. I said, hey, Zach, I'm ready to talk now. I'm seeing the home health contracting grow faster than my Medicare B, and I need help because I've never, not being a business owner before, not wanting to make mistakes that every new business owner makes, whether contracting or et cetera. A motto I've always lived by is intelligent people learn from their mistakes, but the wise learn from the mistakes of others. So if there's someone experienced that's done this, the way you described yourself in your bio, I thought this guy knows what he's doing. And if he's able to coach, why wouldn't I learn from someone that's already been through this? So that's what got me started with you, and my whole mindset of from Medicare B, mobile Medicare B to home health contracting just took off. And the Medicare B is still there, but it's just on standstill. I'm just seeing the patients that I have, the referrals that I happen to get, but I'm not doing any marketing at all. I'm not calling. I'm focusing all on the contracting, home health staffing. That's where I'm going.
I love that quote. And yeah, I remember when we first hopped on the strategy call together, and you were, I think, 2 months or so into 3 months into the Medicare Part B, and you were already kind of seeing some of the difficulties, the marketing aspect, having to find patients. And like you said, if you want to have a staff, which I know you do, like to find enough patients for all of them, it's kind of a daunting thing. And that's why I love this model so much. And you've seen like on your end, and reimbursement's different throughout the country, but from what you said, Part B, home health reimbursement's pretty similar for you. Yet the Part B visits are 4+ units, 53 plus minutes.
That's the other thing.
And the home health ones are like significantly, not significantly, what, 40 minute visits. So I just love this model, and it was cool to see you so quickly see, the light on the Medicare Part B versus home health side. And yeah, you kind of talked about like you found me, you were looking at some other people online for cash and Part B and all these things. Like when you found me, were you kind of skeptical at first? I'm just some guy on the internet, or, how did you feel when we first kind of connected?
As a therapist and business owner, you seem legit. I've heard of people working with coaches, especially like realtor friends that have mentioned I've picked up a coach that's helped me with getting started and growing my business. I've never worked with a coach before. So that's what I was more hesitant about is it really worth the time and money to work with a coach? So when I spoke to you, you had a set plan, and I could tell that you were looking at me as the stage that I was in, a new home staffing agency and where I wanted to go. We even discussed where I wanted to be, in the first, few months and what my goal was. And that's exactly what I wanted. I just didn't know that I could achieve that in 3 months. And talking to you, and you sounded so sure of it, I thought, well, you've done this before. So that's the only hesitance that I had was the coaching. Is it really necessary? But now that I've been working with you now for almost a month, I see where I am now. And, I think you've been more than helpful in easing me with some concerns and answering questions where I wouldn't have known which route to take. I probably would have taken a different route and not be where I am today. And maybe gotten here 3 months, 4 months later. But when I think about all that time lost, that's money.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, like when we did our strategy call, if I say join the program, like I am 100% confident in whoever I'm talking about that it will be successful as long as you show up and you do the work and you hop on the calls and all these things, which obviously you're putting into action. And that's why you're having such good results. And I actually looked this up right before we hopped on here. You have, as of today, been in the program for 44 days. What would you say, like, your first big win or aha moment is, since you joined the program, and how far into the program, when did that happen?
I think when you told me that I needed to have three major home health agencies that were, big providers in my area so that I could, have a steady source of referrals and caseload, that I thought that makes sense. But, I'm the only reason why I got my contract, I thought, is because they known me for years. They trusted me. They signed a contract. But I thought, who else is going to sign a contract with me? They don't know me. What makes me any better than other, contracting agencies out there, or major companies that provide staffing? So when you said, just call and you're going to hit some walls, you're going to get some denials, but then you follow up, and I thought, okay, well, I've never been a salesperson. I'm still not a salesperson, but I'm just going to try it. And if Zach is saying that he's worked with other people that have done it and have had success, if Zach is saying that he had a similar background as me, which is non-business, non-sales, and he's where he is, then it's got to work. So when I got my second contract, it just kind of like removed the wall where I saw myself in the someday future and made it more realistic to like the present. And I thought, wow, if I got that contract, I can get a second and third, and I can hire more people, and this is really happening.
Yeah, 100, and that was like 10 days or something ago when you're like, I got the third one, which was so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, we went through the list of you gave me a list of 10 agencies in my area that were good options, and And yeah, I went through that list and
Yeah, and that's why a lot of it is the mindset piece. And I knew like you're a kind of guy who's going to show up, you're going to do the work. I'll tell you the exact agencies that would be the right ones for a business. But as long as you do the work, as long as you call them, as long as you follow up and do all these things we talk about, like that's why I was so confident when we did our call. And that's why 44 days in, you're signed with three massive agencies in your area that can send your staff patients. And that's why you're so far so quick, which is awesome to see.
and a fourth on the way, by the way. That's something
Ah,
I'll talk to you later on. I have a
I
fourth
love
one
it.
that like my rates and asked me to send them the contract, and they're running it through their corporate headquarters, and so
Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love it.
And that's the other thing I wanted to mention too, Zach, is the accountability aspect. Like I said, I dragged my feet with the credentialing for Medicare B. It took me, I guess, like 6, 7 months to get credentialed. And I could have done that sooner. I could have done the LLC, all that stuff sooner. But having someone tell me, okay, this is the next step you should take. Next time we speak, let me know how that goes. So now I'm thinking, okay, I got to meet Zach in a couple of weeks. What report am I going to say to him? Oh, I was too busy with my son's soccer and I couldn't call. I mean, so I thought, well, I hired him. He's giving me a list of things to do. The least I can do for myself and for the program is to, just get it done and tell him, hey, I called and nothing happened, or I called and look.
Yeah, and it's so funny. Like the accountability part is just what nobody signs up for. It's not sexy, it's not cool. I've never had somebody sign up and say like all I need is accountability. And myself guilty too. Like I've had business coaches for 3, 4 years now. I never said what I really need help is accountability. But in the end of the day, it's massive. It's so important to have that deadline in your head where like I said I was going to do this. What's it going to be? Am I going to do it or am I not? So yeah,
Yeah,
it's the thing that we don't talk about, but it's huge.
it's huge.
For sure. And I mean, like I said, you've been moving so fast. I know like for you, you want to staff and all this, like touch a little bit on that because I know since you started the program, you've also made several hires. Is that right?
Yes. So initially, I had a friend help me with the contract, a friend who's co-owner with another investor as to home health contracting through a Medicare B connection through facilities. If you're following what I'm saying, but she told me, this friend of mine said, just include in your contract OT and speech. Not that they have that you're saying you're going to staff it, but that it gives you the option to staff it. So I thought, okay, I'll include it, but I'm never going to hire anybody. And then I talked to a friend and said, hey, would you want to help me out with this? And he said, sure. He does PRN on the side, and so I gave him a few patients and then started with you. And as I saw the second contract come along, I said, okay, well I need to get an OT in speech, and it's very hard to get a speech therapist right now. And you gave me some ideas as to how to entice her to help me and make a certain offers. And it worked. She came on board. And in Naples, for some reason, there's a shortage of speech therapists. And now that's been a big selling point. And I believe two of the contracts that I have already, including the fourth one that's about to come, is because I have a speech therapist. So as of right now, I have myself as a physical therapist. I have a friend of mine, another physical therapist. I have 3 PTAs. I have an OT, a CODA, and the speech therapist. So that's where I am now. And I'm actually looking to bring more on board because with this other contract, it's just going to get insane, especially with season for us in Florida. January to May is just busy, busy.
44 days, you have more agencies and a larger staff than most people that have been doing this for years. Seriously, I mean, it's super cool to
Yeah, it's
see.
hard to believe.
Yeah, it's cool because like you get these big agencies that we kind of point you in the direction of, and then you see very quickly like, oh shoot, there will always be problems. We just want to give you better problems. That's like my whole goal, give you better
Yeah,
problems. You sign
yeah,
the second agency, oh my God, that's a lot of, I better hire more people. Now
yeah.
you have another problem. Great. I love
Right.
giving you these problems and you're solving them. So it's cool to
Yeah.
see.
That was my problem 2 weeks ago when I got the second and third contract. Is like, Zach, I promised them therapists. How am I going to staff them? And you gave me some ideas as to where it list wanted post job positionings, and so that's helped a lot. So yeah.
Awesome. It's super cool to see. And, like I said, you've been in for 44 days now. What's something that you'd say you're particularly proud that's happened since joining the program?
I feel like I'm living the dream that I've always felt like I would, someday be a business owner, self-made. I'm in the right direction to have the wealth someday to pass on to my children. It's something that I can, being a physical therapist, we're medium income, we live comfortably. Our kids have never, lacked anything. But I've never been able to spoil them, and I don't spoil them in the sense of like, just making them rotten, but just in the sense of like, doing things that I wish my parents could have done for me. And I see that coming for them now. I see that for my grandchildren now. So that's been like a big, great feeling for me is wow, I can actually achieve this now. And, like I said, 18 years as a physical therapist, I knew that's just what I wanted, but I just didn't know how I was going to get there. And I'm looking at myself now in my mid 40s. And I said, if I'm going to do something, I better start now.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Cool. And I love hearing that. I guess like our last question kind of end this on is if there's anyone who's kind of on the fence about joining the program, what would you say to them?
I would say to them, get serious, right? I mean, don't let time pass and then stay where you are. If you're considering, let me, grow as an individual and as a company where I sustain myself, I employ myself, or whether you want to have staff and multiple contracts and grow as big as you want to grow, don't wait till later. I mean, now's the time, right? Then and it's why do it by yourself? If you can find someone that knows how to get started, how to grow. I know Zach's going to be there for me, not just now, but I see the people that he's working with that are way further than I am, and I'm going to need him around in the future as well. So I would tell someone that's on the fence, if you're thinking about this, make a decision, decide what you're going to do, but do it right. Do it right, not just and mostly do it right in a timely manner. So don't waste time. If you're going to do it, just do it. Get help with Zach, who knows how to get you started, knows how to get you rolling, and just don't waste time. That time is of the essence. I wish I would have done this 10 years ago. So if I could talk to myself 10 years ago, I wish Zach would have been doing this 10 years ago. I would have started then, but now it's a present. So I would say just start now.
Yeah, I love time is our most valuable resource. We never get it back. So I love that message. Well, Julio, thank you for hopping on. Awesome to see
Pleasure.
your success. Happy to support you in every way I can.
Thank you, Zach.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.